This protein-packed chicken bacon ranch burger is a dinner you have to make. With 75 grams of protein per serving and 507 calories, it's a simple, healthy, and delicious way to get your protein in, and with a cook time of roughly 30 minutes, it's a quick way to get dinner on the table. So let's jump in. We're going to start off by making our ranch, for which we're basically using the same recipe we used in the buffalo chicken sweet potato video. We'll start with 245 grams of non-fat Greek yogurt, which we'll follow up with roughly 3 tablespoons of chopped dill, 1 clove of minced garlic, and a squeeze of a lemon wedge. For seasonings, we'll add 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, and 1 to 2 teaspoons of black pepper. And I tend to like black pepper, so I'll use closer to 2 here. And finally, we'll thin this out with 40 grams of cashew milk. If you don't have or like cashew milk or any other nut-based milk, you can use whole milk or 2% or even buttermilk, honestly. Because we're not using that much milk in the ranch, the differences between the options will be negligible. Anyways, once that's done, we'll now prep our chicken, for which we'll take 1 pound of 98.2 ground chicken breast. And we'll season this very simply with 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of black pepper, and 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. We'll mix that up and form our burgers, and then we'll set them over an oiled skillet set over medium heat. And obviously we prefer half-pound burgers here, but if they're too much for you, you're of course welcome to scale that down to 1/3 of a pound or even 1/4 of a pound. You don't have to cook it over a skillet. We actually prefer to use an air fryer to cook our burger sometime. Once halfway, we'll give that a flip and let the burgers finish cooking on the other side. One thing to note here is that because there's not a lot of fat in the chicken, since we're using 98.2 to reduce our fat intake, we want to be exceptionally careful not to overcook these and dry them out, since we don't have any fat that can add some sort of forgiveness here. I generally use a meat probe to take the temp, which I would highly recommend because they're cheap and super effective. But if you don't have one, a helpful indication here that the burger is done is if the juices are running clear rather than pinkish, which is more or less indicative that the meat inside is still raw. Once these are done, we'll take them out, set them off to the side, and get on with our bacon in the same pan here. For 2 burgers, we're using 4 strips, so 2 strips per burger. And I'm going to hit this with some black pepper, which will pair well not only with the bacon, but the ranch too. If you can, when shopping for your bacon, try to find something with 2 to 3 grams of fat per strip, which is what we're using here. Many of the common eye-level brands that you'll find when shopping will contain something like 5 grams of fat per strip, which can obviously add up for cooking multiple strips of bacon per burger, so just be mindful of that. Once the bacon is cooked to your preferred doneness, we'll set this over a paper towel to drain off the excess oil. And I'm going to rinse out and clean my pan here, for which we can now use it to toast our brioche buns. Of course, you don't have to use the same pan. I'm really doing it for video purposes, honestly, but if you are going to use a steel skillet to toast your buns, be careful because they're exceptionally susceptible to sticking and creates a big mess if they do. I'd say if you have a non-stick skillet or an air fryer, those are generally better mediums for toasting buns, so I'd recommend using those instead. But anyways, once these are done, we can get on with assembling our burger here. We'll start with hitting our bottom bun with some ranch, and I set 60 grams of ranch off to the side here so I know how much I'm using per serving, but I probably end up using roughly 50 grams or so. We'll then layer some shredded romaine lettuce on top of that, and then we'll follow that up with our burger. Next, we'll hit that burger with some extra ranch to use as a glue, then layer on a few strips of bacon on top of that, and then finally we'll add some ranch to our top bun as well before crowning our masterpiece. Here's a cross section of the burger, and let me tell you, even I was surprised how well this ended up tasting, so I'd highly recommend trying this recipe out. I don't think you'll regret it at all. We like to serve this with either roasted potatoes or really any kind of roasted vegetable, from asparagus to okra. I mean, there are all sorts of vegetables that work really well here. As usual, here's the ingredient and macro overview for the dish, which we have listed on our website as well. The ingredients we list here are basically the sum of everything we used today, which is for 2 servings. The ranch recipe, however, is enough for probably a week of dishes, so to specify, when we calculated the macros, we assumed 60 grams of ranch was used per burger. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we look forward to sharing another recipe soon.